Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Sister Jenna from America Meditating. Hey, I'm rebroadcasting Soul Talk on the Hill. I interviewed various members of Congress about their spiritual side, their American dreams. I asked them questions about America and what they love about it, but what they also want to contribute to it. I went deep into their hearts, and you will not believe how powerfully rich their answers were. Take some time and watch these segments of Soul Talk on the Hill on the America Meditating YouTube channel. Let me know what you think as well. Please take care of yourself, take care of each other, and thank you. America, many of us still believe in the American dream. But why are we still not happy? Why are we struggling to own our own home, to find a job? Do we still have faith that our government representatives have a heart? And do they care about the people who actually put them into office? Join us as we sit one-on-one with America's congresspeople and ask the questions that will reveal what is at the heart and soul of the people who decide our lives. Hi, I'm Sister Jenna. Let's do Soul Talk. Hi, and welcome to another edition of Soul Talk. I'm Sister Jenna. Today we have the fortune of interviewing Congressman Emanuel Cleaver II. Congressman Emanuel Cleaver is a strong believer of how we treat each other matters. Serving his sixth term representing the Missouri's 5th District, hometown of President Harry Truman, he's a member of the exclusive House Financial Services Committee, the ranking member of the Subcommittee on Housing and Insurance, and also a senior whip of the Democratic Caucus. So Congressman Emanuel Cleaver was actually elected for the 112th Congress for the Black Caucus. He's no longer sitting on the position, but now his hands are full, and today we have him on Soul Talk. We want to get to the heart of what leads and drives this individual in making this country what it is. And so thank you so much for being with us.
It's good to be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you. I just love your spirit. Your heart is something that I really connect with whenever I enter a room. There's a saying that they said, before you enter a room, your attitude actually enters the room before you get there.
I like that.
Do you like that?
I like that. And I think in some ways, that is real. I mean, there's a sense of people when you see them.
Exactly. Exactly. And so when somebody actually lives in a room, the attitude also lives in the room with the person. So I want to thank you. Today, I want to really talk about heartful things that are really important about the nation. What is it that's driving this country, and how can we understand each other better? Now, America has got big dreams, and it has continued to be a trailblazer country around the world. If I were to ask you what's your vision of a perfect America, what would you say, Congressman?
Well, in the preamble to the Declaration of Independence, many people believe it's a preamble to the Constitution, but it's a Declaration of Independence. The founders said that we all have the right of life and the pursuit of happiness. I think that in the United States, we are the America that provides unobstructed access to life as we define it and as we choose to live it, as long as it doesn't trespass on the life or rights of others. I think that a perfect America, which does not exist and never will exist, but I do think that we ought to pursue it, would be an America where everyone is walking down that road toward happiness without barriers placed in front of them. And also an America where individuals have the opportunity to interact, live with, and even connect with without any interference from cultural mores or folkways. I think that people ought to be able to live in this country in a way that their religion, ethnicity, gender does not hamper or restrict in any way their pursuit of happiness. And I think that America has moved toward that perhaps more than any other country. We've not reached nirvana. We're not there. But I think it's the joy is in the ride as we're trying to get there.
It's a tricky question because even when I think about the concept of perfection, I think about a state of real acceptance with the self and a sense of honesty, because when you're honest with yourself, you eventually get to some sense of perfected being. And coming from like the East, India, and other countries of that nature, the last thing we sometimes do is really tell you honestly what we're feeling or thinking. And one of the things that I've learned growing up here in this country is to be open and honest about the way that you're feeling, which I think moves us towards a level of perfection. Now, as you know, we are looking at reflection, mindfulness, meditation. And one of my biggest interests is to see how a culture of individuals, if they were to be more meditative, more reflective, do you think that it would contribute to the international policies that we design, to the economy, to the way that we actually run this country? What are your views on a meditative culture in this country?
Well, I think if we had a meditative culture, which we do not, but I think there are many of us who are engaged in deep meditation, it would certainly raise the quality of life in this country. And I think I base that on the fact that as I define meditation, it requires self-interest or introspection. And anytime people begin to look at themselves and dissect who they are and eventually put it all back together, they cannot help but become a better person. I mean, introspection is, I think, inextricable to a solid human being, someone who is in charge of themselves. And the other thing that I think is equally important is being in control of your mind. I never allow anyone or anything to enter the front door of my mind without going through a dirt detector.
Wow.
That is, if I will not allow dirt to get into my head and dictate who I am and what I shall do, what I will do. So I think that when you can keep your mind free from dirt and its consequences, you have a really good chance to have a happy life. Because in many ways, happiness is the absence of dirt.
Yes, that's a good one. There's an analogy that I use called algae. A for anger, L for lust, G for greed, A for attachment, and E for ego. That's dirt.
I like that.
And if the consciousness is constantly being driven by that intention, it creates a lot of conflict. Now, coming into the way that we shape our international policies and the way that the country's running, if I were to ask you what's your vision of incorporating this sort of a reflective behavior or reflective attitude in the shaping of international policies, which are very huge today, how would Congressman Cleaver apply that?
Well, our international relations, I think, depend on our human relations um, and then our international relations will grow out of the human relations. I think the reason that we have as many international hotspots, if you will, as we do, is because if you look at what's going on internally at the nations that are on center stage, you will find that that human relations in those countries with those leaders is lacking. And so if you go, and let's start with the United States, I don't think that anybody in this country would say that human relations in the political environment in this country are good. I mean, we have pathological partisanship, we have tribalism in this country, and until we are able to deal with human relations, we're going to have difficulty straightening out international relations. And we have not, I don't think, come to grips with how important human relationships are, and how humans interact with each other, and how that can determine almost everything that takes place. See, I don't think you can have partially negative human relations. I mean, if you are not able to enter into human relations with a human person, it's going to be infinitely more difficult to enter into international relations that are abstract in many ways.
Very interesting point. Sometimes I wonder, is it our ability to listen to each other, which is really the breakdown of our relationships with each other? Sometimes I feel like if you hear me, you've acknowledged that my presence is important to you.
Yes, and it is an acknowledgement of my somebodyness, and everybody deep down wants their somebodyness recognized.
And it's normal for us to want to have these feelings because we come from this source of energy, which various religions have given it different names. And I'd like to maybe go towards that. You've got those from the Islamic tradition, they call the name God Allah. You've got Christians, maybe they call it God, Lord, Jehovah, Yahweh. In Hinduism, they call it Bhagwan, Prabhu, Khuda. I can't begin to tell you how many names there are, Shiva. What is really the definition of God in terms of your interpretation? And I'm not talking about a religious God that divides people. I'm talking about the way that you relate to this energy personally, for you.
Well, for me, God is the reality that we experience. I mean, people will sometimes raise the theoretical issue or the theological issue of whether there's anyone existing outside of themselves, that maybe all this is not real, that we are the only thing that is real. And I think that when I think about God, God is connectivity. God connects everything and everybody. We have a relationship with the sun. We have a relationship with the moon, with water, with grass, with everything on earth. There is a relationship, and God is that connection, because God is whatever name you place on God, that serves to be the thing that connects us all. I mean, all human beings are essentially the same according to the scientists. We may be different colors and body structure, but we are all essentially the same. And when you look at our dependence on everything else, how did we end up in a world where everything is dependent on everything? The moon controls the tides. We change seasons. We experience the changing of the seasons that we had nothing to do with. And even now, as we are experiencing climate change, I think for many of us, it is due to our relationship with nature, because in many of most of the world scientists say we are the cause of it. So that connectivity is still there. God is connection. God brings us to the realization that, as John Donne said, no man, no woman is an island entire of itself. Each man is a piece of the main, and so we are to.
That's beautiful. I'm remembering your early comment about maybe all of this is not real, but the only thing that's real, it's us. So I miss a mortgage payment, and you see how real there's a whole lot more going out there, right? Because I think, there is a connection going on between all of us, and perhaps we're actually struggling to get to the heart of each other. I don't know, and I think maybe the connection of God is really all about love. Consciousness. For many years, I've even myself translated it in languages that were simple, or I've tried to decode it even for myself. But when I ask you, what is consciousness to you, what emerges in your thinking?
My reality is consciousness, and I think in seminary, when I was in seminary, we struggled with consciousness. There were probably 32 people in a sociology class in seminary, and most people probably are stunned to know that you would study sociology in seminary. But every single individual described consciousness differently. I mean, there was not one single instance where two people had the same view of consciousness, and it is for me my reality. It's just that simple. It's just my reality. My consciousness is my reality, and I'm the only person who can define my reality, and it is my consciousness.
That's beautiful. I like that. Consciousness is my reality. Powerful. What are you absolutely sure of at this state in your journey?
I am sure that there is a God. I am sure of that because I don't think that this world could, as complex as it is, come into existence because of a cosmic accident. I mean, I would like to believe that you and I are intentional beings, that we are the product of the great God, and I am certain of that. I am so certain of that I have in many ways staked my earthly existence and perhaps beyond on that belief.
Beautiful, beautiful. As I've been listening to you, you've definitely been on a journey deep within yourself. Was there an event that triggered you to start to think a little bit deeper, or is it just been a very gradual unfolding for you?
Well, actually, in some ways, it started when I was very young. I lived in somewhat of isolation from the time I was born until I was about 8 years old. My family lived in a shack in an alley just outside of Dallas, and there were no other children around. I have three sisters, and so I had to play alone. I played as if there were two or three people with me, and so I would speak for them, and so I think early on I probably began to think deeply about things because I came from a family of clergy members, and so I would go to church. I would listen to my grandfather deliver sermons. My mother would read the Bible to my three sisters and me. We didn't even have light in the house. She read to us through a kerosene lamp in the house that's on the wall here in my office. And so I early on, did a lot of thinking, probably a lot more than I would have done had I been in a crowded neighborhood in New York City. So I'm a person who even today will isolate myself as I do, and just sit around and think. Just, sometimes, I can overthink, but for the most part, it's one of the great joys of life that I think most people never experience. I mean, to just sit around and contemplate. God gave us this ability to contemplate, to try to fix things, even if it's only in our mind. And I enjoy it.
Well, I think one of the greatest things of the time is to have a contemplative mind. We're so busy now with the acceleration of technology, and we're always extroverted. We're always outside of ourselves. So I think we're borrowing a lot from other people's ideas, and we're not bringing our own ideas anymore into the story. And so we're sort of lost in some ways, So to contemplate, I think it's a very important thing. Congressman Cleaver, it's been beautiful having you on the show. And I'm curious to just find out, in terms of at the heart of the whole journey of life, if you were to sum up life in one word, what would it be?
Joy.
Joy. There it is. That's it, right? We're actually here to just celebrate and be joyful. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. It was a pleasure.
Be with you.
Yes. We just had the fortune of interviewing Congressman Emanuel Cleaver II. And as you've heard, consciousness is a reality. God connects us. The vision of America perfected, we're working towards it. It's a pursuit of something, like we're pursuing this sort of a joy and bringing together of this country. And I'm pretty sure we're going to make it. Members like this in our Congress are the ones in which we need to talk to more and be more aware of their hearts. They bring us to a sense of hope, not only in the country, but hope in the leadership of the country. Thank you so much for joining us again, and we'll see you soon.